Hi there. Welcome to ParentingU, a podcast to help you navigate this amazing journey we call parenting. Today we welcome Dr. Thiravat Choojitarom, pediatrician with Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health, practicing in Denham Springs. I'm your host, Stephanie, and we're glad you're listening to ParentingU. Welcome, Dr. Choo.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're so glad you're here. We're really looking forward to getting your advice on all things helping our kids become adults. We think summertime is a really good time to maybe think about teaching new life skills, especially thinking about our teens and tweens as they approach launch point, right?
Yeah.
And so really looking forward to this conversation today. So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and the work you do with Our Lady of the Lake Children's Health?
Okay. So I'm a pediatrician with Our Lady of the Lake, general pediatrician. I've been in pediatrics for, 30 plus years now. I originally was in New Orleans until Katrina. And then after that, I moved to Baton Rouge, at the invitation of Curtis Chastain. And I've been here ever since. A lot of pediatricians have their interests, and my interests are, kids with special health care needs and healthy eating, healthy cooking. I am a culinary medicine specialist, and I am working on my certification in that specialty. So this particular topic has a great deal of appeal to me. So I'm happy to give you my, my 2 cents worth.
I love that. Well, tell me a little bit more about what a culinary medicine specialist does and what that means.
Well, it's kind of the combination of science and art, because it's cooking and it's medicine. And it's really that food is medicine. And one way that we can help our patients be healthier is by, improving their culinary skills, that they can cook and prepare healthy meals. And by doing that, decrease their risk of disease or mitigate disease. And there's, a lot of evidence that suggests over the years that healthy eating, healthy cooking really helps. And, in this modern age when we've got a lot of fast food, a lot of quick meals and pre-prepared foods, it's a little bit different. And I think it really helps. I think a really good example is there's something called the DASH diet, which is a diet meant to affect hypertension. And if you follow DASH diet principles, you can actually reduce your blood pressure by as much as just taking a pill. But you don't have the side effects of taking a pill. So, it's a great way to help your health.
Well, that's a great segue into our questions about kind of teaching our kids to be adults. Cooking is a really big part of how we learn to be self-functioning, fully functioning adults. Why do you think it's important for kids to start learning how to cook and cook well from a young age?
One of the things I sort of go over with my patients as they're getting older is, what's your favorite food? Why do you like it? And can you cook? And as they go into high school, I tell them, look, I don't want you to go off to college and eat microwave burritos and Diet Coke for all your meals. So, it's good to be able to cook, a nice, healthy meal. Because that skill combines a lot of different things. And a lot of it is directly involved with health, but a lot of it is also directly involved in other skills. Planning a meal, of course, takes organization. Going to the grocery store is a trick. I tell them, okay, I'm going to go to the store and buy some chicken. It says, well, what chicken do you want to buy? You want to buy like a whole roaster? Do you want a fryer? Do you want pieces? Do you want thighs? Do you want breasts? What do you want? So it gives them this skill of planning, which is important. So it's not just following the recipe, but it's, okay, so I need these things. I need a pan. I need those things. So it's part organization, and it's part planning, and it's a part of being also creative too, which I like.
That's true, because I think we take for granted how rote that those things have become for us as adults. But for a child or a teen, you think about, okay, I want you to cook dinner tonight. Like, that's a blank slate for them.
Right.
Well, in addition to organizing, planning, creativity, what are some of those other skills that we're building when it comes to kitchen work? I mean, safety comes to mind.
Sure.
Time management comes to mind.
Right.
What are some other skills that we're teaching when we're teaching them in the kitchen?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's all of those things. The organization, the time management. This has got to cook for so long. Knowledge. You don't want them undercooking chicken. That's always a bad time. And and other sort of things that they need to be able to organize in order to cook. And it's part science too, which is of course I like. So it's a really great combination of skills. It really is science and art together, and it's something that you can start at a very young age.
Well, talk to me about ages. That was going to be my next question. What are some age gaps or groups of ages, and what skills maybe we could look for in those kids?
Sure. I really start quite young when introducing varieties of foods and new foods. So, for example, when they're young and we're weaning them onto solids, I tell my parents, try everything. Just give it a try, and don't put your preconceived notions of food on your child. So you might not like shrimp, but give it a try, see how it goes. They might like shrimp. If we introduce foods earlier, we have less problems with, oh, I don't like that, or oh, I don't want that, I don't know what that is, sort of things later. And as we get a little bit older, really even in a 6, 7, 8 years of age, I put them into the kitchen. They can cut and clean. They can clean things. They can cut fruits and vegetables with a plastic knife. That's really easy to do. They can stir stuff, or as my son liked to do when he was younger, he would help me make like pizza dough, which is really easy because it's really just beating dough till it is ready. You can start very, very young, and sort of as they get older, give them more and more choices. So for example, as they get older, it's like, hey, let's go to the grocery store. Why don't you pick a fruit or a vegetable that we have never had before, and then we're going to cook it and eat it, and we're going to do something with it. You may have to look it up, but it's like, let's try it. Let's see what we get. And sort of that's where we get the fun part. You saw a recipe on TV you want to try. Okay, how are we going to do that? Or another thing I like to do is we have chicken thighs, green beans, and an apple. What are we going to do with this? How can we make this into a meal for us tonight? It allows us to exercise some creativity and involve the child in the process, which over time this really gives us more skills and develop skills for them too.
Yeah, I think something that I struggle with, I have an almost 12-year-old and an almost 9-year-old, so I'm in that kind of middle space. And I think I struggle with wanting to do it for them because it's easier or faster. And if I let them do it,
for sure.
Also, they come home from school so tired, and so I feel like, I don't want to put them in the kitchen. So what are maybe some encouragement for parents who are struggling with kind of letting go of the reins? Not pointing any fingers at me. But what are some recommendations on how to kind of getting over that?
Yeah, sure. And kids, they deserve a little break at the end of school. They've been busy, just like you or I take a little break. Sure, I get that. And, I'll lay out some snacks and stuff for them, nice, healthy ones, fruit, peanut butter on celery, and stuff like that stuff. And that's great. And then I'd say, how you like that apple, huh? That's a Honeycrisp apple. Tastes interesting, doesn't it? And then try that one. And so it's like a different flavor. Which one do you like better? Why?
Yeah.
Why is that better? And can you see maybe if we made like a pie out of that, would that be something that you'd find interesting? Just to sort of find some ways to give them engagement. Even just choosing their foods and their snacks. It's like, wow, you've had a rough day. What do you want to eat? Or what do you want for snack? We have, and I always do that, like we have oranges, bananas, apples. Go whip up a quick, fruit salad if you want, or I could make a little peanut butter and banana sandwich. And that way we try to, give them some choice and then engage them. So why don't you cut up that banana for me while I get the bread and the peanut butter, and then sort of keep them involved in that process. So one, I don't feel like the short order cook, and two, it does give them some investment in their snacking.
Well, that actually leads me to my next question, which is, what are some other skills in addition to cooking that we can take the summer to really teach a little bit more about? Because I'm thinking like cleaning up, packing a bag, learning how to do different chores. What are some other kind of quote unquote adulting skills we can teach our kids in this?
Well, sure. Just to kind of connect it to the cooking as a personal habit, I've learned this from hanging out with chefs is we clean as we cook. So that's a skill that, I give the kids too when we're cooking. It's like, are you done with that? Go wash it. That way you don't have to stack of dishes to wash at the end, and it keeps you organized. Keep your station clean so that it keeps you organized and it keeps things neat so that you don't make mistakes and you don't do things like cross-contamination and stuff like that. So I try to keep those two things together. But it's curious you talk about like packing and stuff for trips. It's one of those things like, okay, buddy, go pack for our trip. All right. And they'll go in there and they'll say, okay. And I'm guilty of this too. Do you need every one of those things that you're packing? Because that's a heavy, heavy bag you've got there. So let's just maybe go through this and see if you need all that extra clothing and stuff like that. And so it's one of those skills, like you want to give them opportunities to do things and then maybe just go behind them and say, yeah, are you sure you want to do that? Because you're going to be carrying that and that's heavy. And maybe we can get rid of this, that, or the other thing that's really like the book. Do we need the book? Are you going to read the book? Really? Having said that, one of the things that I tell my parents is like, I don't know how to keep my kids engaged over the summer. And I tell them, don't worry so much about that. There is power in boredom. When the kids say, I'm bored, I'm kind of secretly like, well, that's good. Well, you guys figure out something. And that's a good thing. Because giving them the license to be bored instead of say, okay, well, here's the pad. Oh, okay, well, let's turn on the Disney Channel or whatever. It's like, oh, well, you guys go think of something to do. I mean, whatever. And that's when they can get the most creative about things. So, don't worry. The power of boredom is a good thing. So let them be bored.
You're so right. And I think I've seen it in my own kids. So if they'll say, Mom, I'm so bored. I'm like, okay, go find something to do. It takes maybe 3 or 4 times of them saying, but we don't have anything to do. I don't have anything to do. Right. But if I hold strong and I say, keep going, they'll eventually push through that and find something.
And, then all of a sudden it's the cardboard pirate ship and the, adventures. Yeah, it's great.
But it's that first 10 minutes or so where they're like, we don't have anything to do. And then you're almost like, okay, whatever. Right. But if you keep going, just keep pushing through.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so,
what else?
And learning that is actually a good adulting skill too, is learning to sort of be creative and bored. It's a good thing. So
it's a very good thing.
Expecting a new baby? Meet your future pediatrician with a free visit before baby is born. A visit with one of our exceptional pediatric primary care providers is the perfect way to get to know your baby's future doctor before the big day. And it's not just for new parent. If you're new to the area or you're looking to switch providers for an older child, you can schedule a free meet and greet too. Our team of elite pediatric experts is here to support your family's health from day one. Find your perfect fit today and schedule your visit at ololchildrens.org.
Okay, well, what else? What ages would you think would be appropriate for certain types of chores? Like, are we looking at 5-year-olds before that? By the time they're 13, what should they know? What are some of your suggestions?
So, like I said, I try to involve them pretty early in the eating sort of cooking selection process. So, even when they're really young, they have some preferences. They do tend to be a little bit food obsessed, like, no, I want the apple, not this other thing that you've given me. And it's like, well, it's kind of like an apple. Give it a try. So I have a 1-bite rule. So toddlers try something. And if they like it, great. If they don't like it, it's okay, buddy. I'm not going to make you eat any more of it, but I want you to try it and tell me, why you don't like it. And then as they get a bit older, the 5, 6, they clearly at that age can handle like a plastic knife. They can help you clean stuff in the kitchen. If you give them a little stool, they can help stir things in the kitchen for you. And likewise, they can kind of help you clean up. Maybe not the quickest and the most clean, but they can kind of help go set the table, wipe the table down so we can go and eat. As they get a bit older, as a personal memory, when I was really young, around 6 or 7, the first thing my parents had me do is make the rice. And this will be familiar to any, child of an Asian household. There's rice with every meal. And so your duty is every day, go make rice. And so every day when I was young, I'd go make rice, and I could probably make rice blindfolded now. Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things. So if you start a child off young with those simple tasks, then it can really develop, into other skills, particularly with the cooking. But just some of the other things like cleaning and chores and stuff like that. Again, I think a lot of times we don't involve them so much because it actually takes longer. If we give them the broom or the mop or whatever, it's like, okie dokie. Or you end up having to do it again,
It ends up worse than it started.
Right. So a lot of times we just have to take that deep sigh and say, oh, thank you, buddy, for cleaning that. I'm just going to go and this little bit right here and so that kind of vacuum cleaner, that's usually pretty safe. It's like, yeah, go vacuum that. And I always try to, I guess, sell it in like, if you can help me get this stuff done, this cleaning done, maybe we'll have time to go, insert fun activity here. Mm-hmm. And, that'd be great. It's like, hey, you wanted to have make pizza. If you can help me get this done, then we will have time to make the pizza dough, let it rest, and then we'll have pizza tonight. Or spaghetti. I just made a bunch of tomato gravies or red sauce. Yeah. So, kind of the same things. Like, if you help me with this, and he did help me with that, I'll be able to get this done, and then we can have, spaghetti and homemade meat sauce. So that's what we're working on.
I love that. That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's a recipe I got from a chef friend of mine.
How do we as parents, what role should we play in this process? Is this the type of process where we give them the instructions and we let them figure it out? Are we walking alongside them? Are we modeling the behavior? What's kind of the balance when you want your child to learn something, but you don't want to be hovering?
Right. I'm a big believer in the modeling sort of thing, that they see me doing it and this is how it's done kind of a thing. And then sort of giving them the opportunity, hey, buddy, could you do this for me? And I got to go do this right now. And then just letting them do it. And if they have a question about it, how do you do that? They say, I'll show you how to do it. But I'm a big believer in modeling and doing so that they know that this is what you do and this is how you do it. And it may not take right away. You might feel like, gosh, I've been modeling for a long time now and they're not really interested in doing this, but it'll catch eventually, particularly if you start to, after a while, it's like, do you think you could do that? Can you do this for me while I go do this other thing? And then that really helps.
Well, what about, do you have any other tips in addition to that kind of makes these routines a little bit more fun?
Oh, sure.
Not as much as of a chore, but do you have any other favorite recommendations you give to your families about how to bake this into just their everyday?
Yeah, make it fun. It's like, hey, let's cook up this, or it's like, gosh, I don't know, what are we going to eat? Hey, how about doing this? And that's let's do that. And let's be honest. I mean, I always have music in my kitchen. If I'm cooking, there's music. I also, again, this is something I learned, from some friends. I don't tend to follow recipes. I tend to sort of just stick to sort of the flavor profiles and styles and types of cooking. And so that way, okay, what do we got in the fridge? Okay, we've got a celery and we've got a pear and we've got some pork chops. Okay, so what are we going to do? Let's see what we can do. And then we'll kind of like make it up, make it fun. It's supposed to be fun. Cooking is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a chore. Sometimes, you just got to break out the ramen noodles, sure, but that doesn't mean it just has to be ramen noodles. I mean, I'm always throwing stuff in with this. I mean, what I have right here is like I made the tomato gravy. I froze some of it, so I'm going to just defrost that. I got some frozen meatballs that I made long time ago in the freezer, and then I'm just going to kind of throw those together. And I was thinking maybe I'm just going to whip up a quick bread, to serve alongside of it. Maybe I'll get them to help me with that by kneading the dough for me. And, it's just kind of a way to, it feels nice and spontaneous. And, I try to make it fun. And it's like, hey, what music you want to play when we're cooking? Let's rock out to something. And that's the way to do it.
It sounds like we need to start a Dr. Choo recipe series.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. I kind of want to do more of that culinary medicine aspect. This is one of my favorite things to do. It's one of my starter things when I'm talking to my, adolescents about learning to cook is making a salad dressing. And this is really great for toddlers. It's really great for young kids too. You make a classic vinaigrette, which is usually 2 to 3 parts of an oil, like an olive oil, to 1 part of an acid, like a vinegar, or could even be like orange juice or lemon juice or whatever. You add spices to it, and then I put it in just a small jar, like a plastic jar with a screw top lid, and I have them shake it. And then just shake it really hard. Keep shaking it, buddy. And then you see what happens? It used to be this layer of oil and this layer of vinegar, and now it's all one thing. It's emulsified. And then that's just a great, it's science too, because I love science.
That's science, yes.
But it's also, you've made a salad dressing. Now let's dip that carrot stick in there and you taste it. What do you think? What does it need? What do you think it needs? Does it need salt? Does it need pepper? Maybe we could add something else to it. And that's just a great way to get them in the kitchen and get them involved. And it's so easy to do. I actually have a handout at my office on how to make your own salad dressing. And it's got like this sort of pick list column of, pick your oil, pick your acid, pick your spices. And you could just, make it up as you go along. It's creative and it's easy to do. So that's a great introduction.
Well, is there anything else you'd like parents to know as we're going through the summer, how to just begin raising little adults? Anything else you would like for them to think of or know about as they enter this season?
Yeah, I think the hardest thing to do is to kind of give them that responsibility or that assignment and let go. And yes, they might not fulfill it to your satisfaction. You might have to go behind them. You might be eating ramen again, but it's a lesson that they'll learn. It's hard to let go. I think as parents, that's the hardest lesson, is to let them succeed or fail, at whatever it is that they're trying to do. And and that's okay. Failure's okay. And I always tell them, look, failure just tells you what you're not going to do the next time. It's fine. Mm-hmm. A characteristic of successful endeavors, successful people, is failure, because they don't let it stop them. Just keep doing it and you'll get there.
Well, it is our summer season, so we are asking everyone what their favorite thing about summer is. So what's your favorite thing about summer?
Oh, gosh. Summer, I mean, it's great. We get into strawberries and corn, and okra and all those sorts of great vegetables. It's good travel time. So I do like to travel, and I do like to eat, when I travel. So it's a great time to experiment with new foods and new recipes or new styles of cooking. So yeah, we just had the Irish Italian Parade in New Orleans, and we got a bunch of cabbages from the Irish Italian Parade. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sauerkraut out of it, do a little fermentation.
There you go.
So
who knew what you get from parade throws could turn into something so delicious.
Yeah, I love that parade. It's a great parade.
I've been many times. It's really fun. My favorite thing, a good August homegrown tomato.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper, that's all you need. Delicious.
There's a sort of a really big difference between those sort of homegrown or farmer-grown tomatoes versus the tomatoes you get at the grocery store. It's really amazing.
Well, thank you again for your time, Dr. Choo.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We're going to have everything you mentioned, or we talked about. Maybe even we could get your salad dressing recipe.
Oh, sure. I could
send you
that. That's easy.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks everyone else for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode of ParentingU as we continue to navigate this amazing journey we call parenting together. See you next time.